What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 297 of AskGSM here today for Wednesday, August 7th, 2019. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. And unfortunately, this is one of those episodes where I do have to get going within the next 30-40 minutes, and it sucks because I feel like anytime I get more questions, I have less time to answer them because something comes up. I literally just woke up like 20 minutes ago, and I got a text saying that I got to get going within the next hour. And I still got to get ready, but I did want to record the show before I left. So this may not be up until a little later on Wednesday, but hey, at least I'm recording it before I leave, and I'm getting it in the can on Wednesday morning and not like Wednesday afternoon, night, which I don't know if I'll be able to record it later. But anyway, guys, if you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/gram.gsm.matthews. Leave a question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. So let's see, getting started here first with the Land of the Y from YouTube. Their first question was, so is Daniel Bryan ever going to make that career-altering announcement? And is the announcement that he's dedicating his life to killing Roman Reigns? Yeah, I know Vince rewrites the show the day of, and WWE has long since forgotten how to plan ahead, but is that what the fake-outs in Reigns' mystery attacker story have been building up to? I would think they are intertwined, because the Daniel Bryan career-altering announcement shit, they were doing that up until like a week ago. So it's not like it was months ago and then Daniel Bryan was off TV or they just forgot about it. They just did it like 2 weeks ago. Unless they have severe memory loss and they can't remember that they did that because of all the rewrites the show has gone through in the last 2 weeks, then I'm not sure. That being said, though, I would expect them to be intertwined in some form or fashion. I guess his announcement, again, just assuming here, that his announcement had to do with, I want to kill. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I really don't know. I assume they will find a way to have them be related and not just forget about it. I would assume he was going to say, hey, maybe Daniel Bryan said that he was going to retire. That's the whole announcement. And then Rowan, trying to prevent Bryan from not retiring, wanted to get him in a marquee match on the Summerslam card or something along those lines, and went ahead and tried to kill Roman Reigns without him knowing. Because Daniel Bryan looked surprised by the accusation from Buddy Murphy, Roman Reigns, whatever, that it was Rowan who tried to kill Roman Reigns. So I wouldn't be surprised on that front. I would actually expect that to be the route that they take. But also there could be the off chance that there was never any announcement, and that Bryan may use that as the excuse as to why, he didn't know anything, but in the end, he actually was the one who put Rowan up to it. He was the one who put Rowan up to it, and then that leads to Bryan and Rowan versus maybe Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe. I saw someone suggest that last night, and I fucking love that idea. I'll talk more about Samoa Joe soon, but that could be that could be where this is heading, which is cool. We'll see. Elena's next question. Seeing the Orton-Kingston rivalry reminds me of how much better WWE storylines would be if they settled for remembering past history, keeping consistency, and character speaking from the heart instead of random stunts, overbooking, and forklift driver errors. Do you ever wish WWE wasn't so afraid of relying on the former? Yeah, it just makes so much sense to do a match between Orton and Kingston. And the cool thing is that they've not only done the match, but they're doing exactly what we hoped they would do, with Kingston bringing up how Orton pretty much buried Kingston 10 years ago, and it took him a long time to recover, a long, great while to recover from that and get over that hump to become a top star in WWE. They're using that to their advantage as the motivation, the storyline reason behind this match at SummerSlam. I think that's amazing. The video packages have been great. This is the best booked match on the entire SummerSlam card, and a lot of the work has already been done from what they did 10 years ago. All they have to do is just throw it back to the video packages from 2009. That's it, and I'm sold. So again, I really wish they would do more of that. You can't do that with every match. Like AJ Styles and Ricochet have zero history, before just recently. There are times, you don't have to rely on fucking stunts and forklift driver shit and overbooking. I think that storyline has been pretty straightforward for the most part over the last month. But like with the Roman Reigns bullshit, him and Daniel Bryan, do you really have to go through the trouble of booking this nonsensical storyline where someone tried to run over Roman Reigns? I mean, I know it creates suspense, but it's been so poorly executed that it's really hard to care. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing who ends up being the one that's revealed to be the one that was that attacked Roman Reigns. I'm looking forward to that to an extent. But beyond that, the whole execution of this angle has just been dumb. It's just stupid. Whereas if you just relied on the fact that, hey, Daniel Bryan lost to Roman Reigns 3 years ago. And again, you can't always do this. But there is a storyline built-in reason for why Bryan would want to attack Roman Reigns. Go back to 4 years ago. Roman Reigns was the one who got that WrestleMania opportunity in 2015, not Daniel Bryan. Why would Bryan wait this long to get his revenge? I don't know. Maybe now that they're on the same show, Bryan's been retired for the better part of the last 4 years. They're finally on the same brand. That could be your reason. I don't know. But still, that could be something they, pay attention to, where Roman beat Bryan. Roman went on to fail at WrestleMania. Maybe Bryan feels that he would not have failed if he went on to WrestleMania that year to vie for the WWE Championship. I don't know. But I do agree that if they just focused on the past history, the consistency, and the characters just fucking speaking from the heart, like you said, I do think storylines would be significantly stronger in this company. Elena's third question. I once understood Seth Rollins' character as being a brilliant thinker and strategist whose mind powered one of the best factions in WWE history before he single-handedly destroyed it and helped him accomplish various accolades, hence the Architect nickname. So why was it his plan on Raw to fight a healthy Brock Lesnar while being severely injured and walking like an old man, barely having the strength to carry a weapon that could easily be used against him? I have no idea. Seth Rollins, with every week that passes, loses more and more brain cells, not only with the stuff that he says on social media and in interviews and shit like that, but like the stuff that he does on Raw. That was so fucking dumb. Why would he do that? Why would he go out there and willingly get himself beat up? I guess there is something to be said for, he's a valiant babyface, standing up for what's right regardless of whether he gets attacked or not. The guy was a fucking dumbass. He was a fucking dumbass for going out there despite the fact that he was on his deathbed last week and still getting his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar. No one wanted to see that. And it's not like people were rallying behind him. They were pretty quiet for that attack this week. And his promo, too. He's like, I will be at SummerSlam. Okay, you shouldn't be. You probably should be home because you got the shit kicked out of you. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Rollins, his character has become a fucking dumbass in the span of just a few months. Their next question. Does Alexa Bliss being one of the women's tag team champions mean the champions will actually get consistent screen time? I didn't mind the Iconics winning the titles at WrestleMania because they are a dedicated team, forgetting the fact that's one of the worst things you can be to WWE. The key to tag team success in WWE is being single stars the company likes to protect. Like Sasha Banks and Bayley, I guess you're right. I would hope that Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross being the champions gives the titles more screen time. Again, I was hoping it would be the Kabuki Warriors, just because, they've been chasing the championships for months. It would just make sense for them to be the ones to take the titles off of the Iconics, but they're never on TV. They're never on fucking TV, and don't think for a second that winning the belts would change that. I think the Iconics were on TV more when they weren't the champions, which is really saying something. I said on Twitter the Iconics had a worse reign than Jinder Mahal did 2 years ago as WWE champion, and that was saying something, and I stand by that. At least he was on TV. They were never on TV, and they had very few title defenses, if any, notable ones. So, yeah, when it comes to Alexa Bliss being a champion, one half of the women's tag team champions, what the fuck ever. I like the pairing of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. They were teasing tension up until like a month ago, so I don't know what they're doing with these two, but hey, at least they should be on TV more than the Iconics were. Even if it's just hosting Moment of Bliss. Moment of Bliss, and that's it, and they're not even defending the fucking titles because there's no division to defend against. Whatever. Maybe the Kabuki Warriors will be the ones to take the titles off of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross in the end. Or maybe they just get rid of the championships altogether before that happens. I guess we'll wait and see what happens first. Elena's fourth question here. Again, I got to get going soon, so I got to really rush through these, I guess. Their fourth question, or their fifth question, rather. Sometimes I encounter an argument about how WWE and wrestling would be so much better if fans would just stop over-analyzing behind the scenes and just enjoy the show. And I wonder if that's actually possible. Honestly, if I wasn't a weird female nerd that tried too hard to understand the machinations, I don't know how you pronounce that word, I'm an idiot, so I apologize, behind a niche sport that isn't a sport and a TV show that isn't a TV show, I would have stopped following WWE forever ago. You follow WWE as a job at this point. Do you think you'd enjoy Raw more if you just turned your brain off and enjoy? Honestly, yes. I completely agree. I mean, even if I wasn't covering WWE as a job, I would still watch WWE. It's what I love. I mean, I love I love WWE, but I love pro wrestling. So I don't think I could ever, get to a point where I was just watching, AEW or Ring of Honor and not WWE. I have this weird fucking OCD where I have to watch, every show. Why do you think I watch Main Event or, every episode of 205 Live? I enjoy it, but I also need to know what happens. I guess it's a weird form of, fear of missing out, but not really. I just want to watch the shows because I've watched every episode preceding them. I just have a weird, thing with that, but I still do enjoy the shows more often than not. And it's funny you say that because I was just thinking last night while watching SmackDown, or actually during Raw on Monday, I'm looking forward to SummerSlam. I mean, the build has not been great, but as a fan, I'm looking forward to SummerSlam. And I think that's the first time I've said I'm looking forward to a WWE pay-per-view in a while. Because it's cool to just sit down despite how long the fucking show is. It's cool just to sit down and enjoy the show with other people. Nothing beats that. Nothing beats that. Just watching the show as a fan, and that's it. Again, like you said, I cover it as a job too. So that's why I kind of write my reviews during the shows, and it kind of takes away from my enjoyment of the shows. Because I'm too busy focused putting this review together, making sure this article's ready for tomorrow, podcast, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it's hard to just focus solely on the WWE product. And then if I only watch the show and not do any work during the show, I got a whole lot of shit to do the next day. So it's kind of it's a give and take, really. But yeah, I totally agree. Just sitting back and watching the WWE product, you'd be surprised how much you would enjoy it. I think, anyway, as a fan. Because I'm looking forward to SummerSlam. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do at the show. Putting aside the behind-the-scenes nonsense. And I said this in my SmackDown review last night about how, is Eric Bischoff writing the show? Is he not writing the show? Was it rewritten hours beforehand? Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Honestly, who cares at this point? If the show is good, who gives a fuck? Because honestly, I feel like there were times where they did that in the Attitude Era. I really do. And we just don't know about it because, maybe it didn't happen at all. I understand that, and we would have heard about it by now. But, the internet wasn't as big back then. There weren't as many sources backstage giving this type of information to the fans, an hour before SmackDown starts. Maybe they were rewriting the show back then too, and the shows were always great to a lot of people. So who gives a shit? If the show's good, who cares? So let's just follow as a fan and not worry about, who's writing this week? Who's writing that week? Who cares? If the show is good, I really don't give a shit. When it comes to ratings, ratings are in the toilet. Dude, there's nothing I could do to impact that aside from just watching the shows myself. So I've always said this, but we'll just watch the show. Not to say you can't complain about it like I'm doing right now or like you're doing or whatever. That's fine. But let's just watch as fans and not worry about the behind-the-scenes bullshit. Because there's nothing we could do to change that. So as long as the product is good, we can speculate as to why it's not good because of X, Y, and Z behind the scenes. But if there's nothing we could do to change that, then let's fucking just enjoy the show and just watch as fans. That's my opinion. At RJ_Marceau, Mr. Marceau's question was, he's got two this week. Who was a bigger get for their company when they signed? AJ Styles to WWE or Kenny Omega to AEW? That is a phenomenal question. No pun intended. Man, you sent this in yesterday and I still don't have an answer for you. I feel like Omega to AEW just because, Styles has been a big star for WWE since he debuted 3 years ago. I think it was a bigger get for, he was a great get for WWE, but it was a bigger get for AJ to go in there and just exceed expectations, win world titles, be a super success story. But it's not like, if AJ left tomorrow, it would be a big loss, but they would move on without him. You know what I mean? I guess AEW would too without Omega, but AEW really needed someone to build around. I think I got to go with Omega to AEW here, just because AEW at this point is a much smaller company because they just started. They desperately needed Omega. They needed someone to build around. They have Jericho, okay, but like the guy's 40, 50 something. Adam Page isn't quite there yet. Cody is not that guy. The Young Bucks, I mean, again, they're all EVPs, which is cool, but they needed a bona fide main event player they could build around for years to come. And Omega is that guy. So they really, really, really needed Omega. And he's not a former WWE guy like Moxley. I mean, I guess he kind of is because he was down in developmental for a few years, but unlike the former Dean Ambrose, people don't look at Omega as a former WWE guy. He's a former New Japan guy, whatever. But that's about it. So I gotta go Omega to AEW, despite the fact that AJ has been crucial to WWE's on-air success for a few years now. I think he honestly contributed to 2016 being one of my favorite years, as a wrestling fan, as a WWE fan, over the last 10 years because of all the matches and moments he provided that year. That being said, though, overall, I do think Omega to AEW was the bigger get, just because without Omega, AEW would be, a lot worse off because they needed someone they could build around. Without Omega, who would have been in the Double or Nothing main event? Omega or Jericho and Adam Page? Again, it's a little too soon, and they're doing that at All Out, but I think Jericho's winning that match for the World Championship. That's another story for another day. But yeah, I got to go Omega to AEW, I think. It's a tough one, but that's what I would say. Thoughts on the current Roman Reigns storyline and how Samoa Joe is portrayed on Raw? I think the storyline is goofy as fuck. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing how they patch this shit up, if they can even do that at this point. The execution's been poor, like I said earlier. But Samoa Joe's involvement in this could be interesting. If he goes back to being a heel by next week, this is all for nothing, but if they have him, go on a face turn. Not like kissing babies and hugging fat girls, all that other shit, but I'm talking about like, being a badass baby face. Like what we saw in NXT before he turned heel. I think that could work. Roman and Joe versus Bryan and Rowan, like I said earlier. I think that would be awesome. That's the only way that any of this makes sense, if it's leading to Bryan and Rowan versus Roman and Joe. Otherwise, if Joe is not involved in this anymore and he was simply, a culprit or just a suspect, whatever, and that's it, then this was a waste of time for him because he still has nothing to do. He was United States champion. He went for the WWE title. He just keeps losing. Just keeps fucking losing. Give this guy a major storyline already. This could benefit him if he turns face and aligns with Roman Reigns. I don't feel like people would boo Joe because he's aligned with Roman Reigns. I think it would have the opposite effect, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I think the storyline's been, very nonsensical, but we'll see if they can salvage it in the next couple of weeks. At noob_n_Cole1991, I think that's how you pronounce it. Are there any NXT talents going to get called up? Are any NXT talents going to get called up after SummerSlam? I don't think so. I think, if anything, they would wait until the Fox debut to bring up, a Matt Riddle or something like that. But, I mean, who else? Who would you even bring up? Johnny Gargano, I guess. But Shayna Baszler, I've kind of given up on those people getting called up just because they don't really, A, need to be called up. And B, I feel like we called that a year ago, When it happens, it happens. I don't think it's going to be after SummerSlam. I would just wait it out. So yeah, I don't think so. I talked about this a few weeks ago. I mean, the Street Profits, but they're kind of sort of already on the Raw roster with the cameos they make backstage. So I'm going to say no, there won't be, and there shouldn't be anyway. They already have a stacked roster. They need to focus on getting rid of the fucking wild card rule, and then maybe we can bring some people up. But for right now, they do not need any more call-ups to the main roster. There's already enough people they're not doing enough with at the moment. Their second question: who do you think should become the first ever AEW Women's Champion? I'm going to say Britt Baker. A lot of people are saying Brandy, not because they want to see it, but because they feel like it will happen. That would be a fucking mistake. She sucks. Brandy Rhodes is terrible in the ring. We talked about this a few weeks ago here on the show, about a month ago at this point. She's terrible. Britt Baker, not to say that she's, the greatest women's wrestler in the world, far from it, but she's probably the best, most well-rounded performer they have on their roster. Who else would it be? Awesome Kong is well past her prime, so definitely not Awesome Kong. Bea Priestley isn't quite there yet. They have all the other women, I forgot what their names were, but the Joshi women, I don't think they'd be a good fit to put the championship on from day one. No one knows who the hell they are. Allie is good, but she really hasn't had that many good matches recently. So I'm going to say no. God forbid they put the belt on the fucking librarian. So I'm going to say Britt Baker. I think she's kind of been portrayed as the female face of AEW up to this point, not named Brandy Rhodes, which makes sense because Brandy's with Cody. So I get it, but she's not that person. She's not. I feel like it would be pure fucking nepotism if they put the belt on Brandy Rhodes. So I'm gonna say Britt Baker will be their inaugural AEW Women's Champion. And their third question here: do you think that the Kabuki Warriors will ever hold championship gold? I mean, I do. I think it's more a matter of when than if, just because they don't have many women's tag teams. So I guess it really is only inevitable before they win the titles, right? I mean, they only have so many teams. There's only so many teams they could put the belts on. Assuming the belts are for the long haul and they don't get rid of them at the end of the year, I think the Kabuki Warriors will be the ones to take the belts or take the titles off of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I mean, I guess they could go off and do their own thing. I guess you could have Asuka turn on Kairi Sane, but what exactly would that accomplish? I mean, like I said with the guys, there's enough women on the roster right now they're not doing anything with. So just to have Asuka turn on Kairi Sane for not really any, I mean, maybe for lack of success, that could be the reason, but what do you do with them? They have a one-off match on SmackDown, and that's it. They're clearly not going to put either of them in the SmackDown Women's Championship picture anytime soon, so I would just keep them as a tag team and have them win the championships at some point. The fucking titles that no one cares about, but, it's better than nothing, I guess. At Iwagu91 from Twitter, their first question was, if there was another Cruiserweight Classic, which wrestlers would you like to see take part in it? I think we're long past that point. I've said this before, but we have enough... we honestly don't have enough Cruiserweights on 205 Live. They need a bigger roster. But they do the tournaments every year now before WrestleMania. We kind of already have a Cruiserweight Classic every year before WrestleMania, where the wrestling might arguably be better than what we saw in the CWC. But if they wanted to do another Cruiserweight Classic... here's a few people I think could be in it. I mean, a lot of these people are in other companies, but that's the issue, too. If you do another CWC, you got to get enough people that are free agents and would be contractually be able to do it. A lot of people now are either in Ring of Honor, New Japan, AEW, so I feel like the market really isn't as big as it was 3 years ago to do another CWC. But in a perfect world, let's say they do another one. They can obviously use people already under contract, people like ACH, Trevor Lee, Angel Garza, Isaiah Scott, Shane Strickland, all the people that were in the recent breakout tournament. They're all great. Bandito would be cool, but he's in Ring of Honor right now. Darby Allin, another one, but he's in AEW. Jack Evans and Helico, both in AEW. Flip Gordon in Ring of Honor. Will Ospreay, I doubt he would come in to do the fucking Cruiserweight Classic. After seeing, what's become... 205 Live is great, but I doubt Will Ospreay wants to come in and do fucking the Cruiserweight Classic and then leave. I don't think that really interests him. Mark Andrews, from NXT UK, they could bring in. Ligero from NXT UK. Chris Sabin, I think would be awesome. He's not under contract anywhere right now. I think he's still under 205, so Chris Sabin would be cool. AR Fox from Evolve, the former Dante Fox from Lucha Underground. I'm shocked he's not signed anywhere right now. I saw him on the recent Evolve show on the WWE Network. That guy's great. So he'd be a cool fit for that tourney. Matt Sydal, I guess, could kind of do the veteran role. He's not under contract anywhere. He left Impact about a few months ago. Marty Scurll would be awesome. But the issue with that is, A, he's in Ring of Honor right now. B, he's going to AEW very likely at the end of the year. And C, I just don't look at him as a cruiserweight. That's the problem. I think he would blend in like the US IC title scene, or even as a main eventer in NXT, not as a fucking cruiserweight. So, I guess, yeah, he could technically fit in, but then again, I feel like he's better than that at this point. Their second question, do you see the Undisputed Era all becoming champions this Saturday at TakeOver? I do. I do see all of them walking out with the championships. Otherwise, why would they all be getting title opportunities? I think Adam Cole retains. Roderick Strong becomes North American champion. And then Undisputed Era's Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish beat Street Profits for the tag titles. I think that's what's going to happen on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it. At Jeremy88911 from Twitter, Jeremy's question was, thoughts on Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe possibly aligning with each other and even teaming up? He was the one, I think, who posed the question first. I love the idea. I think it's great. I already talked about this earlier, but I think those two would be an awesome tag team. Maybe not for the long haul, but I think it gives Joe something to do, gets him involved in a notable storyline where it won't be over within a month like the Kofi Kingston one. I like it. That's the only way to make sense of how Samoa Joe acted towards Roman on Raw. Because if he goes back to being a little bitch and like saying, oh, fuck you, Roman, blah, blah, blah. I mean, obviously not those words exactly, but like talking shit about Roman, then all of this was for nothing. So I assume that's the direction they're going in, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's resolved. Jeremy's second question, could you see some stars switching shows when the wild card ends, and if so, who? Yeah, I could. I think Joe might end up full-time on SmackDown because he was kind of doing that when he was feuding with Kofi. Samoa Joe really should have never left SmackDown. Miz, too. Hopefully they put Miz back on SmackDown. If not, whatever. I mean, Miz and Mrs. is on USA Network. SmackDown's going to Fox, so probably not. Bobby Lashley, I think, should go to SmackDown. He's been off TV for about a month now. I think he'd be a better fit on SmackDown at this point. Raw has enough heels. For people from SmackDown going to Raw, SmackDown people don't really appear on Raw all that often anyway. R-Truth maybe, just because I feel like he appears more on Raw now than he does SmackDown. So R-Truth, even though that's not really that big of a difference maker. Andrade possibly to finish up his feud with Rey Mysterio. I guess that really wouldn't work because Zelina Vega would have to move, and they don't want to separate, couples like Aleister Black and Zelina, so probably not. Finn Balor might be the biggest one, and as we talked about here on the show before, we could all see Balor coming back after his hiatus after SummerSlam, and, joining the OC. I think that'd be pretty cool. So, yeah, Balor could be on Raw when the wild card ends and he comes back after it's all wrapped up a little later on this year. Jeremy's third question, thoughts on Lindsey Dorado looking like he's turning heel? I think it's interesting. I saw the episode of 205 Live last night where he was confronted by Arya Daivari, and Daivari said, listen, they don't need, or you don't need them. You don't need the rest of the Lucha House Party. You're better than them. And if you're not, then why is, Kalisto getting the title opportunity tonight and not you? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know where it's going. I think the Lucha House Party's better together, but let's face it. It's not like they're lighting the world on fire. They've already, honestly, it might be for the best because they've been together now for about 2 years. They've done everything there is to do. They haven't won any tag titles. They haven't won any tag titles, per se, but they just haven't. Not even per se, they just haven't. But they're not going to win the Raw Tag Team titles. They're just losers on the main roster. They've already feuded with everyone on 205 Live. Singh Brothers, every tag team imaginable. So they might as well just go their separate ways. I think that would be interesting. So, yeah, Lindsey Dorado turning heel. I'm intrigued to see where they go with it. At Reborn Again, John Ritland on the Twitter machine. Check out his YouTube channel, Real Honesty with John Ritland. Great content as always. His first question was, does WWE need to do the brand split right after SummerSlam to establish it before the move to Fox in October? Yes, definitely. I always said that when the rumors first started not even rumors, when it was flat out announced that Heyman and Bischoff were taking over creative in late June, that they would likely wait until after SummerSlam to do a hard split again. Just because, SummerSlam, they already have a lot of storylines going in and all this other shit. They already have a lot of people switching shows. After SummerSlam, a lot of the storylines will be over, especially the interpromotional ones. Just keep it, a hard split after SummerSlam. Go back to getting people on their own shows, unique rosters, no more switching, none of this other shit. You could wait until Fox in October, but by that point, I feel like it's too late, and there might already be more interpromotional feuds going on at that point. Just fucking cut it off right now. Just end that shit right after SummerSlam and start anew right after the pay-per-view. So I completely agree. Will they do it? Probably not, but that's what they should do in my opinion. It's like the night after WrestleMania where they kind of reset the deck a little bit. I don't think they will, but if there's any time to do it, the week right after SummerSlam would be as good of a time as any to do it. Is this Reigns storyline, or is this Reigns being attacked storyline bad or humorously bad? I think it's a little bit of both. I think it is humorously bad. I have laughed at some of the stuff they've done with Roman Reigns getting run over and jumping into the car despite the fact there's a fucking car coming at him. I guess he couldn't jump out of the way. I don't know. The whole thing has been comically bad. They could still salvage it, like I said earlier, but it is bad, and it is also, it's funny bad, but it's also okay, this is just dumb. It's just bad. So we'll see where they go with it, but so far, not so good. John's third question. So the women's tag team division, can it be saved? I mean, that's a good question. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like it's going to get to the point where, like, a lot like 205 Live, where they just fucking beat that show like a drum for so long. And even when they did rebrand it, it was too late because people already didn't care. They had the opportunity to make it mean something from the get-go, and they failed. The women's tag team division, they didn't fail from the get-go. They did soon after at WrestleMania when they put the belts on the Iconics. So I don't know. The longer they neglect the titles, the harder it's going to be for people to take them seriously. I think it can be saved with a lot of effort. Right now, it's in the shitter, though. Right now, no one could give two shits about this women's tag team division, which is in shambles at the moment. So it's going to take a lot for people to care, to make people care about this division. But for right now, it's just a fucking, it's a mess. Let's just put it that way. It's a fucking mess. That match on Monday sucked, and we'll see if Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross can do anything for the titles, but I'm not holding my breath. And final question for today from @JaredBodel on Twitter. His question was, which SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver matches are you looking forward to? For SummerSlam, definitely Kingston and Orton. Goldberg and Ziggler, just because I want to see Goldberg back in the ring squashing Dolph Ziggler. That should be great. Not really Lesnar and Rollins, not really Becky and Natalya. Ember and Bayley, yes, but the build has sucked, so maybe not. Balor versus Wyatt, just to see how The Fiend will do. Trish and Charlotte, I'm looking forward to. I think there's more matches I'm excited for than not. Unfortunately, it's the ones like with the legends in them than not the current talent. But whatever, I guess that's their own fault. Owens and Shane, but I don't really care about Shane's matches at this point. I mean, they might make it entertaining, but I'm not holding my breath. And, yeah, is there really anything else? The continuation of the Roman Reigns thing? I forgot what else is on the card, but, yeah, those are the main matches I'm looking forward to on Sunday. Oh, Ricochet and AJ I'm looking forward to, obviously. For TakeOver, the entire fucking card. I think the entire card should be good. I think Yim and Baszler might be the weakest match on the card, but the tag title match should be fun. The three-way should be awesome. The main event should be amazing if their last two matches have been any indication between Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. And then what's the other match? Oh, Io Shirai and Candice. That should be great, though. So, yeah, the whole show I'm excited for. The whole weekend should be awesome, and I'm super stoked for it. That being said, guys, I got to get going in mere minutes. So that being said, thank you for bearing with me on this speed round edition of #AskGSM. We ended up going like over half an hour, so it's not too bad. But I promise we will get back to the longer show formats, closer to like 40, 50, 60 minutes in the weeks ahead, and I don't have much to do on Wednesdays. We'll see. It's just been it's been a pretty hectic last couple of weeks. But on that note, guys, if you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine @WrestleRant with the #AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section of this very video. I'll include it in next week's edition. With all that being said, guys, thank you for checking out this video, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, all that stuff greatly appreciated. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy SummerSlam weekend. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.